because I thought it would be easier than writing a page or two, and it'll only take about 3 minutes for the video, I hope. So I wanted to say I thought you all made some really good points. This wasn't about who's right and who's wrong. It was really about getting us to ask questions. That's what these posts are going to be about, because I think we need to begin to ask ourselves, why are we doing the things that we do, and do they line up with God? So let me tell you what I think for me. I think it becomes about the intention. I think it's about why we're doing something, whether it makes it sinful or not. Now, the fact that something is sinful does not mean that it doesn't make us a Christian. The only person that never sinned was Jesus. Every other human has always sinned. But if we live in sin, if we relegate our life to sin, then we can't live up to the life that God has asked us to live up to, or the standard of living that God has asked us to live up to. So for me, I would not go see 50 Shades of Grey, because I can't think of any reason to go see it other than for the sexual nature of it. Every review that I've read says the acting's really bad. It doesn't have much of a plot. It's really just all about sex. I think that's the same way with watching pornography. Don't know that there's any pornography that's ever won an Academy Award or, been acclaimed. So I would only be watching it for the sex. Donnie brought up something like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones has a lot of nudity in it. I like the show. I wish it didn't have the nudity in it. I think the show would be better without the nudity. However, when I do watch it, I don't watch it with the intention of watching it for the nudity. Matthew 15, the chapter of Matthew 15, I'll challenge you to read it. Jesus is explaining about who we are and what we are to the Pharisees. They're complaining because his disciples don't wash their hands before they eat. And Jesus says it's never what comes into the body that defiles the body, but it's what goes out of the body. So what comes out comes from our passions, our desires, our soul. And so, bringing this stuff into your mind doesn't necessarily defile it. But if you're bringing it in because it meets a passion, because there's something missing in your life, then we're looking in the wrong direction for that. And it shows our desires of our soul and our heart. The other thing is Romans 12:12 says that we're not supposed to be conformed to this world, but we're supposed to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. I'm not sure that something like this renews our minds. Again, I'm not saying anyone's less of a Christian for going and watching it. I'm just saying, for me, and from what I've seen of it, I don't believe that this is something that's edifying to people. I really struggle with the way it makes women look. I struggle with the submissive properties of it. I struggle with the abusive nature of what I've heard about the sex scenes and that are in the book. So that's my take on it. Again, not condemning anyone. That wasn't the point. But I think it's important if I start the question, for me to give my opinion like all of you did. So thank you for being a part of this. Hopefully, as we continue to do this, it'll help us all grow closer to God. Amen.